going to go ahead and get started with our Pfizer meeting. It's 12 o'clock or 12:01. We have no consent items. Approval of the minutes. Do the committee members, do they approve the minutes from February 19th? Or do you have any additions or any changes?
I approve.
I approve as
Okay.
well.
Okay, so we'll move those forward. We're going to go ahead and start with item 3, our federal legislative update. I think we have Lizzie on here.
Yes, Madam Chair, it's good to see you. Hope everybody is doing well. We have a few updates to provide for you all today. The first update on my agenda is the Department of Homeland Security. The department is still shut down at the federal level. This week and today, actually, the House and the Senate are teeing up votes for consideration of reopening and having that funding bill fully funded to close out the fiscal year 2026 process. We are still hearing that they are far apart, Democrats and Republicans, on negotiations for that bill. However, you may have seen in the news that Secretary Kristi Noem was just announced by President Trump that she will be now replaced by Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin. This just happened within the last 10 minutes. So that is some big news that a lot of people here in DC and I'm sure throughout the country are going to be hearing a lot about. I suspect because of this that it might provide some sort of olive branch for negotiations between Democrats and Republicans. Secretary Noem had hearings both in the House and the Senate this past week. Those hearings did not go very well, hence, of course, the decision to remove her and now appoint Senator Markwayne Mullin in that position. And he will start as acting head of DHS on March 31st. And so that's going to be another process that we will be watching very closely. But in the meantime, we do suspect that the Homeland Security Appropriations Bill will likely not be able to get the votes needed at this time until there's some real negotiations between both of the parties over the ability to fund the department. But I'll stop there real quick, Madam Chair, because I'm sure you probably have some questions on this and anybody else. This is the newest information that I wasn't expecting to have today for you all.
Wow, that is a new development for sure. Did they, with this olive branch of having Senator Mullin there to replace Secretary Noem, is she going to be out completely on the administration, or is she going to be doing something else in DHS, or is that just not known at this time?
No, actually, I'm glad you asked about this. The president announced that Secretary Noem will be moving into a new capacity. She'll be moving to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, which is a new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere that they are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. So we don't have a lot of information on this yet. So she will still be within the Trump administration, but definitely not in the cabinet as she was before.
Okay. I'll go to my members just on this particular piece of information. I'll start with Vice Chair Jackson. Do you have any comments or any questions on this announcement?
Yeah, thank you for the update, Lizzie. My comment is I've been following the public hearings very closely, and I think it's an appropriate decision, and I think it is an olive branch because we've seen Kristi Noem lie under oath numerous times. So I think there was a lot of bipartisan support for this decision as well. So I'm excited, hopeful to just see what happens from this, what comes from this, what our next steps are. Thank you.
Councilmember Wiles, do you have any comments or questions on this announcement?
I don't, except for that I'm excited to kind of hear more about how the positions are changing and then this new position as well. Interested to see exactly what that means and what it is. This administration is very creative with their title, so it will be interesting to hear more as we move forward. So I appreciate the update.
Of course.
Okay, thank you, Lizzie. I just hope they can open up the government because, people have to pay bills and, DHS, people struggle. So I'm really hoping that they can really open up the government soon, with TSA workers, people who need their, money. They can't continue to go at this level. So I really hope that happens very, very soon. I'm just
It's
looking at the
my hope
people
as
who are
well.
impacted. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. No, it's my hope as well. And I think with this decision today, especially, an excellent point on the bipartisan pushback from those hearings. You may have seen Senator Kennedy from Louisiana questions the secretary over the amount of funding used for television advertisements across the
mhm.
country. So there was definitely bipartisan concern. What happens next? We're going to be watching very closely, but I think everybody's coming to the conclusion DHS can't stay closed forever.
That's exactly right. Okay. Well, thank you for that update. So we'll let you move
Awesome.
forward.
Great. So the next item that I have is an update on housing legislation. So last time I spoke with you all, we had an update that the House was able to move forward on legislation and vote it out of its chamber that would help cut regulations, streamline permitting processes to increase the supply of available homes in the United States. We heard last week that Majority Leader Senator Thune was teeing that up and had filed cloture for consideration of the House's version of that bill. What we have found out since then, however, is that Senator Tim Scott, who leads the Senate Banking Committee, has introduced legislation that is a combination of the Senate passed version of the housing package that they did late last year and the House passed version that they did earlier in the month of February. So they've combined key components of both of these pieces of legislation to create one conferenced agreement between the two. And as part of that, they have named it the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. So it combines the two names of the previous ones. It expands eligibility for the Home Investment Partnerships Program, which is a DHS administered block grant program. It waives environmental reviews on for urban infill projects that receive home funds. It allows CDBG, Community Development Block Grants, to be used for new construction of housing. And it helps reauthorize the CDBG disaster recovery program, and that helps get the money out to different localities after disasters, which we know obviously funding is excessively delayed often. And so they're trying to address that as well. One key provision as part of this that has been supported by the president is a provision that caps Wall Street purchases of single family homes. So we've seen a lot of private equity companies do this recently, and so the Congress is trying to address this head on. We haven't gotten any confirmed timeline on when that legislation is supposed to be teed up for consideration. But Senator Tim Scott did join Republican leadership yesterday, announcing that the bill had been introduced earlier in the week and that they're setting to quickly move forward on consideration of it because it's obviously a key issue on the affordability topic that many, many, many Americans are experiencing nationwide. So that's some good news that we're excited to share with you all today.
Okay. And Lizzie, just a question on that. Oh, did someone speak or?
Oh, I was about to add something, but please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Shanita. I'm sorry. Before I ask my question, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to add to that as the Senate has this bipartisan legislation and it is scheduled to move quickly. There is some pushback in the House on the provision that cuts back on Wall Street and investors being able to buy single family homes, which was part of how it got bipartisan support in the Senate. That's a big provision for Democrats. So there's a little talk right now about when it goes over to the House that there's some Republican leadership who are opposed to that provision. I think cooler minds will prevail and they'll realize that in order to get it done, the bipartisan bill coming out of the Senate with that provision, curtailing investors from buying single family homes will stay in. But I just wanted to put that out there. That's probably going to be the hiccup in the House. But hopefully they will understand that the bipartisan bill coming out of the Senate is the way to go.
Okay. And Shanita, I think you answered my question, but I just like to kind of just maybe confirm what I was going to ask. So the Executive Order 14376, stopping Wall Street from competing with Main Street, some of those things I've read that that's going to be added to this 21st century bill. But is that some of those things
Yes.
that are added
So
in
some of
that will
those,
be in this bill? Is that
correct.
correct? Okay.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay.
So some of
Okay.
those provisions were added in the Senate bipartisan bill
Okay.
and incorporated in there and highly supported. Several senators, Senator Mark Warner, who's a Democrat, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who's also a Democrat, strongly supported those and had those added in. Because as we've talked about it before, an executive order is not law, so they needed to put it in law. And again, I think it will have bipartisan support in the House too. I just wanted to highlight that there are some Republicans already rumbling a little bit about that Wall Street provision.
Okay. All right. Thank you for addressing that and reconfirming. I just, I heard what you said, but I just want to reconfirm that that was what was going on with that part, which I think is really, really important. I think it's, something that I've brought up here locally to some of our state legislators, and I know that I'm glad to see that this is actually being addressed. I'll go to Vice Chair Jackson. Do you have any questions on this part of the update from our federal lobbyist?
No questions, just agree with what the chair was sharing about the Wall Street buying up houses. That's a very important thing to pay attention to. So, and it is very relevant to the issues we deal in Aurora. So thank you.
Councilmember Wiles.
No questions, but I echo both of your guys' comments. I think this is a good thing moving forward.
Yeah, and I do plan on bringing this forward to take a position on this. So I just wanted to let you both know that once we probably maybe at our next visor, but kind of wanted to get a little bit more information, see what was actually going to be in this bill. So we probably will be taking a position on this for the federal level. So is there any more updates from Shanita and from Lizzie on anything else that's going on?
No, Madam Chair, I think that covers it for us. But as always, if you have any questions or any of the council members and mayor, of course, we are happy to help answer them.
Okay, so I'll open it up to the floor here. Vice Chair Jackson, Councilmember Wiles, anyone else? If Mayor Kaufman and I seen Councilmember Hancock was on here, do you have any questions regarding the updates or anything else that you would like to get information on from our federal lobbyist?
Thank you, Chair. I do have a question with regards to legislative stock trading and investments. I know that the president had mentioned that in his State of the Union address. Have you heard anything additionally with regards to that?
I know that it's a big topic, especially in the House. There have been a lot of members that have been hammering the issue, including Ro Khanna from California, a Democrat member who has been a key champion of supporting that issue. I think it remains to be seen at this time, even with the president's support during the State of the Union, floor time for consideration of legislation for that, because we're rapidly moving towards the midterm elections and they are really stacked to try to get legislation pushed through their respective chambers. So I think that's a consideration that could potentially hinder that effort. And I think too, it becomes complicated with some other members who do want to rein in members potentially taking advantage of insider trading, but at the same time, don't want to put too many guardrails on their members in a way that could potentially inhibit them later on. Regardless of our feeling of it, we are still monitoring how that legislation is moving forward, but I think some of the members who have been most prominent on it are just trying to get the attention of House leadership, which at this time has just been very difficult.
Okay. Is there any other questions for anyone else who is on this panel today for our federal lobbyist? Hearing none. Thank you, Shanita. Thank you, Lizzie. We appreciate all that you do, and we look forward to seeing you in DC, meeting you, and thank you so much for the updates, as always.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We look forward to it.
Okay, bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good day.
Good day. Okay, we're going to go to 3A, our congressional directed spending. Liz is going to give us an update on this.
Thank you so much, Chair Lawson. So staff wanted to provide an update to the committee on congressional directed and congressional project spending requests that we're wanting to put into Congress. As a quick reminder and briefer, these projects are put in through the appropriations process when we do the fiscal year budget. Congressional members are able to put in projects specific to their region and the communities that they represent. So in the past, couple months, you might have heard from us and our lobbyists about other projects that we've received from fiscal year 26 that the city has been successful for. We were successful for 5 projects during that time. So we want to move forward with projects for fiscal year 27. So the 2 projects that we have identified as good candidates for CDS for fiscal year 27 is the Regional Navigation Campus Roof Replacement Project. So this would be an ask of 4.1 million. We would like to request this funding to help supplement and ensure that roof repairs are done in a timely manner before the roof fails. On the navigation campus to ensure that we have continued safe environmental conditions for our guests. So I'll take any questions on that, on the process or anything like that. I'm happy to discuss any of that moving forward as well.
Is there any questions from the committee on that particular CDS request?
Not for me.
Okay. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Liz, continue.
Okay. The second request is going to be from Aurora Fire Rescue, and this will be for a wildland rig. So the ask that we might ask up to is $1.5 million. As information, a wildland rig is used to address wildland fires and bushfires. It's a 4x4 firefighting vehicle designed for off-road maneuvering. Aurora Fire would like to have one so that we can address any wildfires that come about in our city, especially on our eastern plains. And we think this is especially pertinent as we move into potential increasing drought conditions this summer and into next year.
Okay, and Liz, explain also to, this would have a regional kind of like where we could share I think that's an important point you could make on this.
Yes, of course, Chair Lawson. So Aurora Fire Rescue does have intergovernmental agreements, and we do share resources with throughout the state when it comes to other wildfires or fire activities going on. So we would be able to help support other communities with wildfires by acquiring this rig as well.
Okay. Thank you, Liz, for that additional information. I'm going to go to the committee members. Chair Jackson, Chair and Councilmember Wiles, do you have any questions for Liz on the CDS spending request?
I do not.
Okay.
I just have a question, and I know this is probably a loaded question considering we're talking about the government, but are there timelines for this? Like, you know,
Yes.
just in terms of like when they could approve it or when we could see money, just.
Yes, so I am happy to do that. I'll give an overview, but if you want more details, I'm happy to go more into that. As a preface, the city has been incredibly successful with CDS requests, and because of how the timelines are, staff really works to identify projects that match those time requirements and don't have detrimental impacts on our budget. So what this looks like is the CDS portal has been open for requests as of Monday. We have until the 13th to put them in. So we work hard prior to that to identify what projects that we would like to do and have a good fit. In that sense, the delegation would then approve what our requests are, and then the delegation puts those requests into the Congressional Appropriations Committee, and the Congressional Appropriations Committee is the one that also needs to approve those projects to move forward and actually get into the fiscal year budget. So with the deadlines being kind of at the mid-end of this month for the House and the Senate, we're looking at submitting our projects then. We won't know if they make it through appropriations until usually it's at the end of the summer, and is what we're looking at if we make it into appropriations. And then typically, of course, the federal government typically passes the budget in fall, so September, November timeframe. However, as we've seen in recent years, that timeline has been constantly pushed back into the next year. So this is why we pick projects that we don't need the funding like right now, like right now, but it's really great to have, and we have some time that we can get the money, and these are projects that we have planned for already into the future that we can get funding for. It would be great to have. There is no definitive note that we would get any of these projects at any of the point in appropriations. We could be rejected. So it is a little bit of a risk, but as I mentioned, the city has been incredibly successful over the past, I believe 3 to 4 years, we've gotten $12 million in this process. So staff really wants to pursue these projects on this funding. I hope that answers your question, Councilmember Wiles, and I am more than happy to dig in deeper, either on this meeting or in another separate call if you would like.
That helps a lot. Thank you, Liz.
Okay, thank you, Liz, for that. Is there any other questions from anyone else that is on this meeting? Okay. All right, Liz, thank you so much. We're looking forward. We have been very successful. Hopefully we'll be successful again.
Thank you, Chair.
So, thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to go to item 4, our state legislative update. Do we have Tatsi and Peggy? Hello?
Yes, we're
Hello.
both here.
Okay, we're ready.
Great. Nice to see you all today. Just want to give you a quick update on some of the activities that are going on at the Capitol. We've got well over 400 bills that have been introduced. We're almost, I'm going to stop so I don't make everybody dizzy by my wandering around. Sorry. We have more than 400 bills introduced, getting close to being halfway through the session. We do expect the budget will be introduced,
Peggy, you
of course,
froze.
because of our. Oh,
Peggy, you broke up.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
How's that? Okay. We do expect at the end of March to start the budget at the legislative level. Right now, the Joint Budget Committee is putting figure setting together, but the legislature will have those difficult discussions starting at the end of March. In the meantime, we are continuing to work on bills that we have taken a position on for the city of Aurora. Quick update on 3 bills that we were watching. One is 1037. That was the bill that focused in on search and seizures and the Fourth Amendment. We have been working with the proponents of the bill and the bill sponsor. The bill was laid over in committee. I spoke with Representative Bacon yesterday. She's continuing to work on amendments, so didn't have anything new to share at this time, but is hoping to get to a place where she'll have some language that she'll be able to share with us that addresses our concerns with the bill as originally introduced. Senate Bill 70, that's the bill around license plate readers. The bill was passed out of committee and is sitting in appropriations. It's got an almost $2 million fiscal note, with which this year is fairly significant. So the bill sponsor, we do expect to have additional amendments and appropriations on that bill. I spoke with her earlier this week as well. She doesn't have anything yet, but she does know that she probably needs to continue to work on amendments to make sure that she's addressing concerns raised by municipalities, law enforcement, and the governor's office. So more to come on both those ones. And then that third bill in this space is Senate Bill 71. That was laid over in the Judiciary Committee. So it likely will not move forward. But at this point, it's just sitting in that committee. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chelsea.
Okay, Peggy, just for the public and everything, and just for the committee members and everyone who's on here, what was the title of Senate Bill 71?
The bill was regarding license plate readers. It was
71?
kind of a, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
both 70 and 71
Okay.
addressed license plate readers and cameras.
Okay.
So they were both trying to go after the same issue for sure.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Yep. You bet.
Tatsi, I'll let you go ahead and give your update, and then Liz, did you have something to say before I go to Tatsi, and then we'll go to questions?
Yes, just to answer your question, Chair Lawson, Senate Bill 26-071 is use of surveillance technology by law enforcement.
Okay.
To answer your question.
Okay, thank you so much for the title. Okay. Tatsi, we'll go to you, and then we'll open it up for questions with the committee and others on this meeting. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. Excuse me. I'm going to talk about House Bill 1039, which is the bill that would require the Aurora Detention Center to be run under the same jail standards as county jails. We've been working on that bill since that was introduced the first day of session, and we've come to an agreement with the proponents and the sponsors on a definition for what our jail would be called, our detention center would be called. That bill has passed the House and the next step, of course, is the Senate. There was a rumor that there would be an amendment to that bill, but I think those have all been staved off, and I think we're in a pretty good place right now. We'll continue to keep you updated on that bill. Another one that we've been watching and working for the city. Oh, Mayor, do you want me to continue?
Yeah, Mayor, let me
Okay.
just let her continue, and then I'll have you address,
Okay.
I'll get you addressed. Go ahead, Tatsi.
Thank you. House Bill 1102 would take HUTF funding away from all municipalities. And that bill is being run by the Department of Revenue, who claims that without running this bill, they will not have enough funding to keep the DMVs open. I think that's kind of a crazy claim, but I don't know what else we can do but to continue to try to amend that bill. Department of Revenue has told me that they will not accept our language, but I'm working with CML on amendments. Others in the municipal world are trying to kill the bill, but we took an amend position. So there's more to come on that. That is on second reading in the House, and I've been working with the majority leader's office to stall that bill. There's another bill out there that addresses some of the same issues, but more to come on that as well. The majority leader has not returned my call yet, but that's okay, because I think if she does, we're in trouble. And that she's running it. Peggy and I both have great relationships with her. So as busy as everybody is here, no news is good news, I think. So, and that is it for right now.
Okay.
I'm willing to try to answer questions.
Okay, just a couple questions for me, and I'll go to the committee, and then I'll go to the mayor as well. Just a comment on the HUF funding. I mean, that's going to be very detrimental to the city of Aurora, because we use that for road maintenance. I mean, that is going to be, we're going to have to definitely find something in our budget to supplement that, because that's really helpful for us in other municipalities, I'm sure.
So the department has another bill out there, and they are saying that that bill will backfill what we're losing now. We will get our funding to HUTF backfilled to the other bill, which is kind of an I can't say it right now.
Omnibus?
You know what I mean? It's a big bill.
Okay.
And but we don't have a guarantee that that bill will pass either. So that's why we're kind of working with the department, CML, trying to get Representative Lindsay to, consider an amendment. But as I said, the department refuses to look at amendments for 1102.
Okay, and just a question for Liz. Liz, we took an amend position on this. I know CML, because I sit on the policy committee and executive board, they are opposed to the bill. So with this passing through, are we going to be able, if it's up to the members of the committee, to change to an opposed position? Because it doesn't look like we're going to get to an amend position.
The committee can change. As staff, I am not recommending to change our amend position. I still really would like to work with Rep. Lindsay and other electeds to amend the bill. We don't have problems with any other aspect of this legislation except for the withdrawal of the HUF funding. As Tachi mentioned, as we're looking through this other omnibus bill, it would potentially backfill that funding for us. But again, as she mentioned, we don't have any guarantees of that funding. So I would like to continue to work on this to find a resolution and be collaborative. So I am not recommending to change out the amend position, although I do understand that other municipalities might feel differently.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Just my last question before I go to the members and also to the mayor. On House Bill 1039, what was the definition? Is that currently something Liz can send to us? What was the definition that was agreed to for municipalities? Can you just
It's,
summarize that, or?
we took out, as I'm sorry, this was 2 weeks ago. I should have reread that. Liz, can you help me with that? What we did was we wanted a specific number of hours for holding inmate or detainees in our detention center. And that was the sticking point. And the city decided eventually that we were not going to hold on to that position. And I'm sorry that I'm drawing a blank at this point.
Okay, go ahead, Liz.
Yep, no worries. I have it up. Thank you, Chair Lawson. So the definition we agreed upon, and I really would like to note for this committee that myself, Jason, and Pete, as well as Judge Day, has reviewed this. We all agree that we're really happy with what this looks like, and we're really pleased by the collaboration we were ended up able to get. So the definition of municipal jail would mean a city or town jail, detention facility, correction center, or other penal institution that is operated by a municipality and that is used to detain persons facing criminal charges and persons convicted of crimes. A municipal jail does not include holding cells at court facilities, police stations, or reform schools. In addition to that, there's the other part of this is that a jail facility does not mean a holding cell at a court facility, police station, or reform school as operated by a municipality. And then Councilmember Lawson, I know that you had requested membership as well on the committee. So CML was also able to get an amendment that one non-voting member who represents a municipality appointed by a statewide organization representing the interests of municipalities or its successor organization. That was also included in the legislation.
Okay, that's great to know. Okay, I'm going to go to members first. Let's go to Vice Chair Jackson. Vice Chair Jackson, there was a lot of information here, but I wanted to go ahead and give you if you have any questions, concerns, anything that you would like to be brought up as well.
No, this all sounds good. Thanks for the update. On the last bill, our holding facility, our jail, does it meet the requirements that you've outlined there?
I'm a little unsure of your question because we legally are not defined as a jail. We're defined as a holding facility.
Okay.
So can you
that
elaborate on...
answers my question. I was just because then it wouldn't, because I know previously we were very concerned about the how this would impact budget of the jail, operations of the jail. But if they're not considering our facility a jail anymore, then that wouldn't impact us. Am I understanding that correct?
Yes, in the definition that we have agreed upon, you would have to, as written in the definition, be holding people pending sentencing and holding people to serve their sentence.
Okay. Okay, great. And then I'm glad that municipality interest was included. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to Councilmember Wiles.
No questions, but thank you for all the information. It's very helpful.
Okay, Mayor Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Tati, I just want a point of clarification. So, does the bill reduce the number of hours that we're allowed to hold inmates?
It doesn't cite any hours, but I think that the proponents understand that mostly we don't hold folks past 24 to 48 hours in the long run anyway.
Okay.
They
So
pulled all the hours. There's no time frame.
So who does the bill apply to?
Liz,
Councilmember Lawson, do you mind?
Yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead, Liz.
thank you. Thank you. Mayor, to answer your question, it's already in state law that we're not allowed to hold people over 48 hours without being sentenced. So
Oh, I
I
thought we
hope
could
that
hold to
answers your first
72.
question.
Okay, I thought we could hold to 72. Okay,
No, it
Thanks,
is no
Eric.
longer 72 hours. It is 48 hours.
it's 48 hours, and there are no
Yep.
physical changes that we have to make.
There are no physical changes that we have to make at this time.
Okay, thanks.
In that hour, Mr. Mayor, that time frame was changed last year or the year before through other legislation.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, 400 bills already. We're only halfway through. So thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Tatsi, for the updates, and we'll continue to see you guys in another couple weeks. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Uh-huh.
good day.
You too. Okay, so we're going to go to 4A. We're going to start doing our positions. This is Liz. Go ahead, Liz.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. So the first bill I have for you today is House Bill 261055, My Colorado Card Pilot Program. Councilmember Horton did request this to be brought to the committee, as well as you've heard several testimony from community members at the last council meeting. So staff wanted to bring this forward. So this bill essentially creates a Colorado Card Pilot Program in the Department of Public Health that would allow students in grades 6 through 12 access arts recreational activities. The Department of Public Health and Environment would be the ones who designate the municipalities and jurisdictions that would be participating in this pilot program. And they would also be the ones coordinating the community-led groups that would be driving the pilot program in those respective jurisdictions. I want to note that this bill has been moving forward, and there was an amendment added to it that the department shall not administer the pilot program unless the department receives sufficient gifts, grants, or donations and able to do so. This legislation doesn't negatively impact our processes, operations, or budget. So because it was upon request and requested of the community, staff will defer to this committee if they would like to take a position or not on this legislation.
Okay, as the chair, we can go ahead and take a position. I would recommend that we take a position on this particular bill. So I'm going to go forward, and it is, let me go to Councilmember Hancock. Let me go to you before we move on to our voting. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a question about this bill. And as I understand it, there's a fiscal note that's attached to this, somewhere in the neighborhood of $247,000 for the startup, and then $80,000 per year ongoing. What is going to be the impact on local municipalities such as ours? Because from the way I understand it, that it only covers building the app and running the pilot. It doesn't account for any real costs that would fall on us as a municipality, rec centers, youth programs, facilities, all those. When we're looking at certainly increased demand, if the state creates these access programs, it should ensure cities like Aurora are not left absorbing the cost of the administration of these programs. While it sounds like a great program to make sure that, 6th through 12th graders can go to, and have participation in these facilities, we have to recognize the impact financially to our municipalities as well. So can you talk to that a little bit for me?
Yes. So there is nothing in this bill that mandates the city to reduce costs or provide access. There's nothing that mandates us to do anything about the programs. We, as I mentioned before, we get directed and chosen by the department if we're in the pilot program. The city would not be able to volunteer for that. In addition to that, as with the amendment that had passed, that the department is not able to administer this pilot program unless the department receives the gifts, grants, or donations to cover that fiscal note and to administer the program. So there really isn't much of an impact. This isn't a mandate on us to do anything or to do anything with our programs or make any changes to our fee structure.
Go ahead, Councilmember Hancock.
May I follow up?
Yes,
just for clarification, so we're not mandated to participate. They won't be able to do it unless they get grants and gifts and funding in that way. Should that happen, it's magically and wonderfully that happens, will that, for the city of Aurora, we can still opt not to participate? Or would it, in turn, it would come before council study session, what have you, where we would opt into this program? Is that would be the next step? Just for my clarification.
So no, the committee would pick different jurisdictions or municipalities to be a part of the pilot program. It is a community-wide pilot program. It's not a mandate on the city to specifically engage. It would be community-wide. As I mentioned, the city doesn't have to do anything about this. This is a community-driven led organization. Everything about the pilot program and this program would be appointed by the State Department of Public Health and Environment. So while our municipality may be chosen to be in the pilot program, there is no mandate on the city to do anything with the pilot program unless council would like to engage in it. But there's no mandate that we have to do anything.
So Liz, just to clarify, just to kind of piggyback on what Councilmember Hancock is, so I'm aware. So this would, if this would have to come to council in order to be able to participate, correct? In this program.
If council wanted the city and city staff to engage,
Okay.
likely yes, but there is nothing that we are mandated to do it by anybody. It would be up to the council.
Okay, Councilmember Hancock, do you have any other follow-up questions?
See, that begs the question that if we do this, and if we say, yes, we're going to participate in this, this sounds marvelous, would staff be, who would actually administer this? Would this be a community organization? Would it be staff? Would it be volunteers? Would it be under pros? How would it work? Do you have any of that forecasting as to how it would move forward at this point?
Yes. So the Department of Public Health and Environment would identify and form the community group that would help administer this pilot program. So this would be, again, run by the state, run by those volunteers. And I would like to mention, again, there is no guarantee at all that the city would be chosen to be a pilot community for this pilot program.
Oh, okay. So you have to be, they're only going to pick a certain number of cities, municipalities, or towns to participate in this. So after all this is said and done, we may not even be in the running to participate in this at all.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. You've answered my questions. Appreciate it.
So, okay, I'm going to go to the other members. Vice Chair Jackson.
I would like to support this bill and I have no questions.
Okay, Councilmember Wiles.
I also would like to support. I think we talk a lot about preventing youth violence and, youth crime and bored kids, and this potentially could be something that would help. So I fully support it.
Okay, I'll support as well. So we'll move forward with that, Liz. So let's go to 4B, SB 26107.
Thank you. Okay, so Senate Bill 26107 is the modifications to Colorado Open Records Act. Staff had the intention of bringing this to this committee for a support position. However, 3 minutes before this committee meeting started, the bill had died in the the Senate committee that it was being heard in. With respect to that, staff would like to not take any position on this legislation as it is effectively dead, and staff does not want to waste time taking positions on dead legislation.
Okay. Okay, I support that position. Vice Chair Wiles.
I support it. Or sorry, I support the position, yes.
Okay, Councilmember Wiles. Councilmember, I'm sorry, I got everybody mixed up. Councilmember Jackson just stated that. Councilmember Wiles.
No, I agree. I support the position. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Liz. Let's go to 4C, SB 26075.
Awesome, thank you. So Senate Bill 075 is the trafficking and commercial sexual activity offenses. So this bill is a lot of updates. So it removes certain trafficking offenses from standard crimes of violence classification and replaces it with requirements for courts to sentence offenders to a term of at least the midpoint or up to twice the maximum of the range for being charged with human trafficking. It also focuses on increasing penalties for trafficking minors, also not just for sexual servitude, but for involuntary servitude as well. It also updates legal language and references to child prostitution to commercial sexual activity. There are also additional penalties for pimping and trafficking when the person is considered an at-risk person or an adult. City staff is recommending a support position on this legislation as it does update terminology and increasing penalties for human trafficking. I will note that in September, the Aurora Police Department formally did establish the dedicated human trafficking unit to address these crimes and issues within our community. And we are only one of a few agencies in Colorado that have dedicated human trafficking unit. So staff does believe this help will support the work of Aurora PD in this area, and then the work that they are responding to within the community.
Okay, so the committee, because this came up to committee early this week, the committee took an emergency position on that. Did we take an emergency?
No, this was the Masat. That was a different bill that we'll discuss at the end.
Okay, my apologies, Liz. Sorry about that. I'm getting the bills mixed up. Okay, so we'll start with Vice Chair Jackson. Any questions, and do you support the position of the city of support?
I I do have some questions.
Okay.
Just because this bill, one of my issues with it is that it does strengthen penalties, but it doesn't try to expand funding for survivor housing or workforce exit pathways. And if we really want to get to the root cause of human trafficking, there's a lot of intersect with economic vulnerability. And so I just am really wondering if there's any chance, any way to amend it where we can add prevention through economic stability in addition to the enforcement. If we're, I don't, I want, we'll hold people more accountable, but I don't know if this is going to reduce the amount of human trafficking we're seeing.
Chair Lawson, if
ahead.
I may.
Go ahead,
So I completely understand your point about that. However, when it comes to a lot of state legislation, you kind of have to be under what the bill title is also stating. So adding in amendments that don't reflect or match what the bill title or what the bill is supposed to be about isn't really, you're not really supposed to be doing that.
Okay.
So I hope that kind of addresses your question. So if that is legislation that the city would like to look at or run, I'll keep my eyes open for that. We can talk about if we want to do future legislation surrounding those issues. But I don't think, in my professional opinion, that an amendment for that would really fit under this bill. In addition to the fiscal note, it would likely add to it.
Yes. And okay, so couple follow-ups. So is this bill aimed at reducing human trafficking, or it's just aimed at increasing penalties for human trafficking?
Both. So it's aimed at, yes, increasing penalties for people who engage in human trafficking practices, like pimps, etc. And then also updating terminology, specifically relating to child prostitution. Our staff did note that with this update, it might make it easier for survivors to want to come forward, to not have specific identifiers marketed towards them.
Okay.
And I'm happy to oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then on the physical note, is there additional judicial expenses tied to this bill?
I don't believe so. And I'm not sure if Judge Jay is on here and he can correct me if I'm absolutely wrong, but I'm very certain that these are cases that are heard in state court.
Judge
But if Judge Jay, if you want to chime in on that particular part of it, but I don't believe it would add any court fiscal notes.
Okay, Judge
No,
Day,
for
let's
this-
get your opinion. Are you on? Can you answer
I
that
am.
question,
Yep.
please? Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead, Judge
thank you,
Day.
Madam Chair. This bill is exclusively for state jurisdiction. I don't believe that there's anything within the fiscal note that relates to state judicial. I think it doesn't impact state judicial, at least fiscally.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. I guess just in closing, if this bill is about reducing human trafficking, then preventative measures are absolutely applicable to this bill. And so that's just my thoughts on it. So I'll sit on that.
Okay, so what do you support the position?
Yes, I will
Vice Chair?
support. I will support the position.
Okay, I'll go to Councilmember Wiles and then we'll go to Mayor Kaufman. Go ahead, Councilmember Wiles. Do you have any questions and do you support the position of the city?
No questions, and I do support it.
Okay, I support the position of the city. Let me go to Mayor Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a former recovering legislator, a state legislator, it's a single subsidy rule, I think is what Liz is referring to. And it's just, you can't, as she explained, you can't go whatever way the bill title is worded, you can't go beyond that. And I think legislators that really want to have, it also has to be a single subject, but what legislators do sometimes to really broaden that is say concerning, concerning the air, whatever. But anyway, yeah, it wouldn't fit under the title. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, for that clarification as well. We're going to go to, if there's no other questions. Oh, go ahead, Chair Jackson. Vice Chair Jackson.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That helps a lot. I want to update my stance to oppose.
Okay, so you want to oppose the bill? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 1 oppose and we have 2 support.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on to 4D, SB 26097.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. This bill is Senate Bill 97, decriminalizing adult commercial sexual activity. So this bill requires statewide decriminalization of commercial sexual activity among consenting adults. It does declare it a matter of statewide concern, and it expressly preempts statutory or home rule cities, which would be the city, from creating any ordinances, resolutions, regulations, or codes criminalizing this activity. It also repeals the state criminal offenses of this for offenses for it: solicitation, keeping a place of prostitution, patronizing a prostitute, and a prostitute making display. It also repeals offenses of pandering when it involves knowingly arranging or offering to arrange a situation that would permit prostitution. It also maintains current state criminal penalties for pandering that involves menacing or criminal intimidation and for pimping. But it does change its terminology in those offenses by replacing prostitution with commercial sexual activity, and also various conforming amendments in that bill. It also eliminates court programs for persons charged with certain prostitution-related offenses. The city staff is recommending an opposed position, as it does fully legalize prostitution statewide, including in home rule jurisdictions. So it is a violation of our home rule authority. And it also would not allow the city to regulate any of those businesses, which could create an additional favorable regulatory environment for operating illicit sexual and human trafficking businesses under the cover of other businesses such as massage therapy. So it also, the bill itself does also refer to massage therapy businesses as massage parlors, which is also an outdated term as well. And it also fails to create any detailed regulatory framework for when prostitution would occur, the manner of it, any places. And staff believes the bill makes the assumption that human trafficking is easily observed and prosecuted, which is not. There's also concerns where the argument can be made that working conditions could be improved in the industry with legalization. However, we think that this bill takes too much of a radical approach without any framework in place to address the concerns of human trafficking, and ensuring that any business related to that would be regulated in some way by the state. For example, where the location of these businesses could be done, there's no delineation if it would be next to a school or daycare, and the blanket removal of all regulation attempts is very concerning to us. Again, as the police department has formed a human trafficking related trafficking unit centering around addressing human trafficking, we do believe that this would complicate our ability to investigate claims of human trafficking, and implicate and harm our partnerships when it comes to addressing human trafficking in our jurisdiction and other jurisdictions as well. So we would like to recommend an opposed position due to the negative impact that we believe this will have, specifically related to human trafficking.
Okay, I'll start with our committee members first, and I'll start with Vice Chair Jackson. Do you have questions, concerns, and do you support the position of the city?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, because I'm still trying to understand this bill, and I think, this bill could be seen as radical, but I think if we were to take a global international approach, I think it's in perfect timing with where we are. And my questions are related to the human trafficking, because this bill does not impact human trafficking, exploitation of minors, or coercive conduct. And it's just legalizing sex work between two consenting adults. There's still penalties for pimping, for pandering, and menacing and intimidation and things of that nature. So can you make that clarification more? Because we've gone off and said, okay, this is going to make human trafficking worse, but we're not addressing any laws or penalties for human trafficking. We're just creating we're decriminalizing sex work between two consenting adults.
Chair Lawson?
Go ahead.
Okay, with your permission, I would like to ask Chief Jewell to provide additional context regarding this, as he works more in this world than I do, and I would like to tap into his expertise to help address some of Councilmember Jackson's questions, if that would be all right with you in this committee.
That is all right for me, Chief Jewell.
Well,
could explain.
actually, I'm sorry, because I'm not asking for what human trafficking looks like in the city of Aurora. I'm asking for the legal opinion on, does this bill impact human trafficking, when the bill outlines specifically that it's not decriminalizing human trafficking. It's not impacting. And I understand, if anything, this would decrease, this would put more resources for our public safety to focus on human trafficking, to focus on the exploitation of minors, as opposed to the exploitation of vulnerable adults who get swept up into sex work. And because of the multi-level scheme that the business is with exploiting women, they wouldn't have to put resources there, because this bill would then create some sort of regulation for that. And that's my other question with the regulation. I want to understand better, is it that the cities can't criminalize sex work? Is that the boundary? Or is it that cities cannot create business regulations for sex work? Because I think those are two different things, where we could still perhaps, as I'm interpreting the bill and the law, we could perhaps still have business regulations. We just could not criminalize sex work. That's where that boundary is.
Okay, well, Vice Chair Jackson, you don't want to, it appears that you don't want to get the opinion of Chief Jewell on that part because it's not addressing your question. Do we have anybody on here that's from the legal perspective that could provide the answers for Councilmember Jackson on this bill?
I can provide some additional information from our legal comments that we have received and solicited from my department. From what I'm reading from legal, they do agree that, yes, this is an eroding of our home rule authority. And yes, they do agree that we would not be able to regulate this industry in any way to help protect the workers that would be engaging in this business activity. So for those reasons, they are concerned with it as well, and are also recommending the opposed position.
Councilmember Vice Chair Jackson, any current follow-up questions on this? Did it address your question, what Liz stated, or do you need more analysis?
I need a little bit more analysis regarding the home rule. I wonder, is it that, back to the question of, is it our home rule violation because we wouldn't be able to criminalize sex workers, say sex work cannot happen legally within the bounds of the city of Aurora? Or is it that we couldn't say we're going to zone this building where sex work can happen, hire private security, let the people unionize? Like, what do you mean by regulation?
We have looked at this for business regulation.
Okay.
Vice Chair Jackson, do you have further questions, and what is your position on this bill? Do you support this position of oppose, or do you have another position that you want to bring forth to the committee?
I think I don't think my questions were answered, and two, then that's okay. And two, I would support this bill.
Okay, so you support the bill. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so before we go, I'm going to go to Councilmember Wiles, and I'm going to ask if she has questions and what is her position on this bill, and then we'll move forward on the positions. So, because we have a position of support that you would like to bring forward to the committee, Vice Chair Jackson?
We can, but that's where I stand. I'm going
Okay.
to, my record is to support this bill.
Okay, let me go to Councilmember Wiles. Councilmember Wiles. Councilmember Wiles? Councilmember Wiles? Are you there? Okay, well, while Councilmember Wiles is trying to get on, I'm going to say a couple things. So in 2017, and I'm the one who brought this forward, we had an illicit massage parlor bill that is still enacted that many other municipalities, not only in Colorado, but out of the state, have taken to have modeled. And that was due to a personal situation in a business district that I was getting my hair done. And it was right down that they were doing human trafficking in the building. And that's why I brought that forward. Human trafficking is a real deal in the city of Aurora. And throughout, it's still an underlaying situation that's happening throughout Colorado and throughout globally. My concern with this, and I do say the opposed position, is that two consenting adults can go into a thing, but you don't know what this other intent of the person could be. They could actually put this individual into human trafficking or any kind of slave labor. And that's my concern with this bill. I think the state of Nevada has this kind of model here, but this one is even over the extreme of what the state of Nevada has in terms of legalizing prostitution. So I definitely think it has an element of human trafficking. It's real. Two consenting adults, a person can lure a person into a situation, and then that can create that person and bond that person into human trafficking and other issues as well. So I definitely am supportive of this, because if this does pass, that means the illicit massage parlor ordinance that we passed, that would be null and void. And that's a consideration that we have to look at, because this stuff is happening in Aurora. It's happening in other municipalities where there are businesses in business districts that are having these type of businesses there. And some people are not aware. These are where your insurance offices are. This is where your dentist office are. And they have these businesses in there that are human trafficking, not only minors, but adults, women and men. So I definitely support the opposed position. And I think this is a bad, 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 bad bill. So that's my position on that. I'll go to Councilmember Wiles, and then we'll go back to Vice Chair Jackson.
Councilmember Lawson, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I do see that George has his hand up. And I wanted to make sure that if it was okay with you, our legal team can chime in.
Yeah, but let me go, Liz, to Councilmember Wiles, because I couldn't get her on, so I want her to talk about the position, and then we can go back to Vice Chair Jackson's questions. We'll go to George and then Vice Chair Jackson. Go ahead, Councilmember Wiles. Councilmember Wiles, we still can't hear you. Councilmember Wiles? Okay, Councilmember Wiles, just kind of interrupt me when I can hear you. Oh, when I can hear you, maybe log back in, log out and log back in. But I'm going to go to George. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Councilmember Jackson, I didn't dig deep into this bill because my teammates did. I'm happy to work on trying to get your questions answered offline or maybe at the next meeting, but I don't have answers specifically for your questions, and that's all I wanted to say. Our position is what Ms. Rogers presented to you, but I'm happy to dig into your questions later.
Okay, so let's go with, let me go. Thank you, George. I appreciate that. Vice Chair Jackson, go ahead, and then I'll try to get Councilmember Wiles back on. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And George, thank you for that. I'll follow up for sure. So I just think there's so much confusion going on about this bill. And the reason why I repeat two consenting adults over and over again is because that is different than human trafficking. So if we were to take the example of you've got two consenting adults, and you can think about this as a business, okay? And they go in and they do the transaction. With this law decriminalizing it, if something goes wrong, there is a million avenues for this person to take an illegal route that will protect them. But if two consenting adults right now, without this law, as we have it now, as Chair Lawson outlined, go and there is some exploitation, there's the unthinkable that happens and this person gets dragged into human trafficking, there's no avenue for that person to try to pursue. they have to then depend. And a lot of these people who get pulled into human trafficking, like I was saying earlier with the previous bill, it's due to economic vulnerability. These are people who don't have a lot of options. They're marginalized. Maybe it runs in the family. Like human trafficking exists. I acknowledge that, but I think there is huge confusion about sex work between two consenting adults versus human trafficking. And that's what I'm saying with, I don't understand the legal analysis of this bill, because when I read it with my own eyes, like it does not impact sentencing or the criminalization of human trafficking. It doesn't impact child exploitation. So I'm confused. I'm confused because we keep throwing around sex work and human trafficking. And sex trafficking, like these are all very distinct, different vocabs that have different definition. They run differently, they look differently, and this bill is only focused on consenting adults, and then it would allow, and then the regulation. I don't understand how you could just not regulate a business, but so I get that, but I don't understand. I'm just a little skeptical about the interpretation of the bill.
Well, I think we just have two different ideological reasons. I'm not saying that two consenting adults can't engage in prostitution in the proper way, but a lot of this, what's going on in the underground world, and you could read a lot of stories on this and a lot of podcasts on this. Look at Figueroa Street in Los Angeles. There's a lot of underage. The pimps are beating up the women. They're doing all that. Of course, no one's going to be able to know that because there's these individuals are scared, just like the individuals that were in that business district. When I knocked on the door, they didn't even answer. Two young women, human trafficking. The madam comes to the business, all the men, the people who are going to the business. I mean, I guess we just look at it from two different ideological situations on how I view versus your view. I'm going to go to Councilmember Wiles on your decision on this bill and any questions and comments that you may have.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, it can.
Okay, I apologize I don't know what my laptop is doing, but I'll deal with it after this call. So this bill, like I kept reading it and it left a lot of questions for me that I struggle with, right? So ideologically, I don't have a problem with two consenting adults and I have a cousin who lived in Vegas and did this type of work, and it's very regulated there. It's in certain areas. There are licenses required. There is testing required that helps to keep both sides safe, right? Like it helps to keep the women safe. It provides them with the safe working conditions. It helps to keep the men safe as well, and it provides a legal way for them to do that. My issue with this bill is that it doesn't address any of those things. It doesn't talk about the need for licensing. It doesn't talk about the need for any sort of health checks or any of those things, as well as the site concerns that it could be near a school or something like that. And so because the bill prevents us from regulating at a city level, I don't think that I could support it unless they make a whole lot of changes to it. We need to protect the city's ability to regulate things, which then keeps these same women safe. The bill just, in my opinion, is too broad. It's not thinking of the day-to-day. Ideologically, they're thinking one way, but in my opinion, they're not thinking of the day-to-day requirements to keep these women safe in a business aspect. So for that reason, I oppose it. I hope they do make some changes. But in this current status, I don't think it does what it needs to do.
Okay, so, and I'm going to go to, before I do the final vote tally, let me go to Councilmember Hancock. Councilmember Hancock, you have some comments?
Oh my goodness, Councilmember Chair Lawson, there's so much to unpack here. You know, this bill would decriminalize prostitution statewide. And number one, remove the ability for cities like ours, like Aurora, to regulate it locally. I mean, this to pick someone up for prostitution back to the local trafficking, sex trafficking issue may be the only avenue that someone gets to be pulled out of this environment. Prostitution's rarely a harmless transaction, as people want to portray it as. Many individuals who come in contact with this, having grown up in the inner city myself, deal with poverty, addiction, abuse, all those kind of things, not to mention the psychological toll that it takes on people. There are other options besides sex work. And when the state removes enforcement tools, it becomes harder for law enforcement to outreach these workers and to pull them out of this very dangerous profession. And I don't believe the state should normalize this exploitation. The policy, it's just wrong on so many levels: psychological, spiritual, emotional, long-term effects of this, post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of working in this, depression, anxiety, substance abuse. There's so many ancillary things that could happen, that does happen to people as a result of this. And just because the government can tax it, regulate it, and license it does not make it any less traumatizing for the people who find themselves coerced, involved, born into, trafficked into this kind of behavior. It is so hard. The reality is that prostitution, as I said before, is often rooted in trauma and exploitation. Decriminalizing it risks normalizing the industry and makes this have an even deeper scar on us as a society, and we are not better for it. I would strongly encourage you to oppose this. And if you want to get down to the nitty gritty with what Councilmember Wiles said, there's nothing in here about protections, about licensure, about all of those things that could actually protect these people. And if you want to look at it strictly from that role, this does not meet the bill. But when you look at it from a purely human perspective, the degradation, the humiliation, the trauma, the psychological, spiritual, and social trauma that we're going to inflict on people as a result of this, to me, outweighs anything that would make this be something that would be good for our state, for our city, or for our community.
Okay, so for our vote count, we have 1 support from Vice Chair Jackson and 2 opposed from myself and Councilmember Wiles. So, okay, so let's go ahead and move forward on the next one, HB 26-1114.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. House Bill 1114 is allowed minimum lot size for subject jurisdictions. This bill would require that a subject jurisdiction, which would be identified as our city, would not require that a parcel have an area larger than 2,000 square feet. If the parcel's residential use is limited to a single family home, there are certain parcels exempted. Staff is recommending an oppose on this one, as you might have seen in PED last Wednesday, we are already evaluating the impact of small lots and working to bring plans forward for this that works for our city and our community. Staff does believe this is another example of circumventing local control, implementing one size fits all housing requirements on municipalities. Specifically, we have concerns that it doesn't differentiate for different zone types like rural residential, which is already intended to be larger lots. Staff would like to note for this committee that they have been working with the development community to create these codes and having a lot of stakeholder engagement in this process. So essentially, this bill is restricting our ability to set zoning standards based on the needs of our community. And as such, we are recommending to oppose this legislation.
Okay, so I'll start with Vice Chair Jackson. Questions, and do you support the position of the city of oppose?
No questions, and I support the position of oppose.
Okay. Councilmember Wiles, questions, and do you support the position of the city of oppose?
No questions. We're working on this right now in PED, so I support the position to oppose. I think our rules are going to be just fine for the city.
Okay, and I support the position of oppose as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. And yes, the last one, the emergency position. So thank you all committee members and Chair Lawson for all getting back to me on this issue. This was House Bill 26-1257, local regulation of massage facilities. This moved a little bit faster than we anticipated. We had already discussed and we're planning on bringing this bill to this committee for a position, but it was scheduled for a hearing on Tuesday. So we wanted to make sure that with the committee's permission, staff was able to engage in this legislation. So as a recap, the committee voted unanimously to take that support position, and Trevor did testify in support of that, representing the city, and I believe the bill did move forward. So really excited about that. Again, thank you all so much for your quick responses.
Okay, so for the committee members, since we did an emergency email vote on this, we have to take the formal vote today. So for the record, so Councilmember Jackson, do you support this position of this bill?
I support it.
Okay, Councilmember Wiles, do you support the position of the bill?
I support it as well.
Okay, and I support as well, Liz. So we took
Wonderful.
the formal position on the bill here at the meeting.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay, if there's nothing else there, let's go to the water update. Is there any water updates?
We fortunately don't have much. There's just something to put on everybody's radar. There is a draft legislation that is floating around right now. It has yet to be introduced on revegetation, specifically in District 2, which would fall into the Arkansas Valley area. We've had some conversations with the proponents on that bill and are trying to talk to them a little bit about what's in that bill because there's definitely some things in that bill that would be problematic. So we're working through that. We will have more information for this. There is a potential that we'll be coming back to FSIR with that. But in the meantime, we're just trying to have some behind the scenes conversations with the proponents. So that's the only thing we've got right now. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much just going along, and there hasn't been a whole lot that's been out there that we're concerned about at this moment.
Okay, thank you, Shawnee. Is there any questions for Shawnee about anything on water before we move to 6, 7, 8, and 9 and confirming our last meeting? Anything from Vice Chair Jackson and Councilmember Wiles?
Nothing.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shawnee.
One other really
so-
quick thing, I do apologize. Just
go ahead.
as I forgot, as a point of just letting you guys know, there is a legislative day at the Capitol and it's next Wednesday. And that's just to kind of bring all the legislators up to speed on what's going on in water. And so we will be there representing Aurora Water. That's all I have.
Okay, fantastic. So there's no state last minute bills. There's no federal last minute bills. Is there any miscellaneous matters for consideration from anyone on our committee, anyone else that is on this meeting? Okay, I hear nothing. So our next meeting is on March 19th. Is there anything with that date or time with any of the committee members? Are we still good with March 19th at 12?
Actually, I won't be in attendance.
Oh, okay. Is it because of National League of Cities?
Oh wait, I'm sorry, not the next one. It's the following
Oh,
meeting.
will you
So
be-
I'll
will-
send an email.
Okay, will you be at this one though, Vice
Yes,
Chair
I will
Jackson?
I will be at the next one.
Okay. What about you, Councilmember Wiles? Are we good on the March 19th?
We are. I fly back late the night before, so I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.